Have you ever played a game of hide and seek where the hider was so good they were never found? Now imagine an entire colony playing that game, and 4 centuries later we're still seeking. Welcome to the baffling tale of the lost colony of Roanoke, a real-life mystery that would make even Sherlock Holmes scratch his head. In the late 16th century, the world was buzzing with the spirit of exploration. Nations were stretching their limbs across the oceans, eager to claim their piece of the New World pie. Enter England, keen to establish its presence in North America. In 1587, a group of about 115 English settlers, led by John White, landed on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. This wasn't England's first rodeo in America, but it was about to become its most infamous. These settlers were a mix of men, women, and children, all hoping to carve out a new life in a new world. Little did they know, they were about to become characters in a story that would puzzle historians for generations. Roanoke Island was no paradise. Picture this: dense forests, unknown wildlife, and the looming presence of native tribes whose reactions to these new neighbors were as unpredictable as the weather. John White, the governor of this fledgling colony, was no Indiana Jones. He was more of a painter, really, which was great for making pretty pictures, but not so much for wilderness survival. As supplies dwindled and the reality of their situation set in, White made a tough call. He needed to return to England for reinforcements and resources. "Be right back," he might have said, not knowing that it would be 3 long years before he could return. Meanwhile, back on Roanoke, the settlers were left to fend for themselves. In a world so new and so wild, it might as well have been another planet. Imagine the scene as White's ship disappears over the horizon, the settlers probably waving, a mix of hope and anxiety in their eyes. Little did they know that they were waving goodbye to the last bit of their homeland they'd ever see. This was the setup for one of history's greatest vanishing acts, a mystery that would leave everyone, including future us, scratching our heads and asking, where did the lost colony of Roanoke go? Just as our settlers were getting used to their new, albeit challenging life in Roanoke, the plot thickens. John White, remember him? The governor-cum artist? Well, he realized that this New World extravaganza needed more than just his artistic touch. They needed supplies and not just a few extra loaves of bread and a pint of milk. We're talking the serious stuff: tools, food, reinforcements. So he did what any responsible governor would do. He hopped on a boat back to England, a quick grocery run across the Atlantic. "Hold the fort," he might have said. "I'll be back before you know it." Spoiler alert, it wasn't going to be that quick. Now here's where the story takes a turn into "you can't make this stuff up" territory. White arrived in England at a time when the country was about as stable as a 3-legged chair. The Spanish Armada was knocking at the door, and England was all hands on deck, quite literally. Every ship, including those White needed to hitch a ride back to Roanoke, was conscripted to fend off Spain. Talk about bad timing. Imagine our dear John White pacing back and forth, probably wearing out the carpet at the docks, as years ticked by. 3 years to be exact. 3 long years of waiting, worrying, and probably a fair bit of nail-biting. Back in Roanoke, without WhatsApp or email, the settlers were left wondering, where is this guy? They might have thought. Did he find a better colony with better weather and friendlier neighbors? The suspense, the uncertainty, it was the perfect recipe for a historical cliffhanger. And that, dear viewers, is the inciting incident of our tale. A simple trip for supplies turned into an unintentional ghosting of an entire colony. Little did they know their story was about to take a turn from struggling settlement to one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. While John White was stuck in England, playing a waiting game with the Spanish Armada back in Roanoke, the settlers were facing their own set of challenges. Imagine being in an unknown land, surrounded by dense forests that could hide just about anything or anyone. The settlers had to deal with the harsh realities of survival, finding food, building shelters, and navigating the complex dynamics with the local tribes. It wasn't exactly a vacation. Let's not forget the mystery of their eventual disappearance. What happened to these brave souls during those 3 years? The theories are as plentiful as leaves in those Roanoke forests. Some say they were absorbed by friendly native tribes, learning the local customs and living out their days in peaceful coexistence. Others speculate about less friendly encounters with the natives. And then there are the more outlandish theories. Alien abduction, anyone? Or perhaps they found a hidden portal to another dimension. Okay, maybe not, but it's fun to imagine. But wait, there's more intrigue. Have you heard of the Dare stones? These are a series of stones allegedly inscribed by Eleanor Dare, a member of the colony and John White's daughter. They supposedly tell a dramatic tale of the settlers' fate. However, these stones are shrouded in controversy. Some claim they're as authentic as a $3 bill, while others believe they hold the key to the mystery. As we delve deeper into this historical whodunit, the plot only thickens. The settlers' struggle for survival, their interactions with the natives, and the cryptic clues they may or may not have left behind all add layers to this puzzle. It's like a historical game of Jenga, each piece adding to the tension and complexity of the story. And so, the stage was set for the climax of our tale. 3 years had passed, and the Roanoke settlers, who had embarked on a journey for a new life, found themselves at the center of a mystery that would echo through the ages. What awaited John White upon his return? Was it a thriving colony, a tragic scene, or perhaps something entirely unexpected? The anticipation was as thick as the forest that surrounded Roanoke Island. So after 3 years of what we can only imagine were filled with worry, frustration, and probably a lot of pacing, John White finally made it back to Roanoke. Picture this, his ship nearing the island, his heart racing with anticipation and dread. What would he find? A flourishing colony or something else? The answer, it turns out, was something else. The Roanoke colony was deserted, eerily silent. Houses dismantled, no sign of a struggle, and not a single settler in sight. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. But they did leave something behind, a clue that has baffled minds for centuries. Carved into a tree, the word Croatoan. No other message, no explanation. Just that one word. Was it a sign of distress? A clue to their whereabouts? Or maybe a new brand name for their line of tree carvings? Okay, probably not the last one. This discovery marked a turning point in the story. It shifted from a tale of adventure and survival to a haunting historical mystery. Theories about the fate of the colonists have multiplied over the years, ranging from the plausible to the downright wild. Did they assimilate with the Croatan tribe, as suggested by the cryptic carving? Did they try to sail back to England and get lost at sea? Or maybe they decided to start their secret society? We can only guess. The aftermath of this discovery sent ripples through time. The lost colony of Roanoke became a legend, a cautionary tale of colonial ambition. It inspired countless books, movies, and even a few ghost stories. The mystery also sparked a renewed interest in historical and archaeological research. In recent years, new discoveries have shed some light on the possible fate of the colonists, but the full story remains just out of reach, like a tantalizing secret whispered in the winds of Roanoke Island. As we move towards the resolution of our tale, we're left with more questions than answers. The story of the lost colony of Roanoke is a puzzle that has captivated minds for over 400 years. It's a testament to the enduring allure of a good mystery, the kind that keeps historians, archaeologists, and curious minds awake at night, pondering the possibilities. As our journey through the enigma of the lost colony of Roanoke draws to a close, we find ourselves surrounded by theories, each more intriguing than the last. The most widely accepted theory suggests that the colonists assimilated with the local Native American tribes, such as the Croatans. Archaeological findings, including European artifacts found in Native American sites, seem to support this. But the question lingers. Why did they leave Roanoke Island, and why so mysteriously? Other theories propose a tragic end due to disease, starvation, or conflict. Some even suggest they might have tried to sail back to England and were lost at sea. And yes, while it's less likely they decided to start a colony on the moon, the lack of concrete evidence means we can't completely rule out the wilder speculations. Well, maybe we can rule out the moon colony. Ultimately, the fate of the Roanoke settlers remains a historical cliffhanger. But perhaps the value of this story lies not in its conclusion, but in its enduring ability to fascinate, to inspire curiosity, and to remind us of the resilience and courage of those early settlers venturing into the unknown. In closing, the lost colony of Roanoke remains one of history's tantalizing enigmas. It's a reminder of our past's mysteries and the enduring human spirit of adventure. As we ponder their fate, let's appreciate the mystery itself, a puzzle that has intrigued for centuries. So the next time something in your life goes inexplicably missing, just remember, at least it's not an entire colony. Until next time, keep exploring and wondering.